Okay, I'm going to talk to you guys today about how to get water out of a unit. Now, I'm not talking about water on top of a unit, especially water slides. That's kind of what they're designed for. And everyone knows what you do is simply, blow it up and evacuate the water any way that you can. No, I'm talking about how do you get water from inside the unit. Um, and all units are going to get a little bit of water inside of them because they have seams and the water will infiltrate the seams, through play or whatever. But on this particular day, we went to pick up this slide and it rained uh, earlier in the morning and it rained pretty hard. So I knew that there was going to be a lot of water on it and some in it. But to kind of compound the problem, the customer had left the water hose on. They had left it on since the prior day, so it literally had, 8, 12, 15 hours worth of water, just pouring onto it. And when a unit is up, the water will shed from the top down to the bottom and off of the unit. When the unit is down like it is here, what happens is the water pools at the top, infiltrates, and some of it will come down, but most of it actually goes inside of the unit and creates a water bed, not a water slide. And as you'll see here, there's going to be tons of water that just kind of pours off of this thing because it's inside and out. It's all over the place. Um, and there comes some of this that was on top of it, and more will come from there. Now, you have to be really careful when you're dealing with a unit like this because what happens is it puts undue stress on seams that normally don't have as much stress as that are on there. So, like right here, you can see the sidewall is laying flat, and it shouldn't be laying flat, but it is because it's full of water. And again, that puts some undue stress on those seams, and you got to be very, very careful that you're not, as you're blowing it up, you're not pulling those seams. And again, at the top, you can see that it's laying down and won't stand up, and a lot of that is because there's water. The weight of the water is holding the unit in that position, that awkward position. Now, it eventually will, get enough air in there that it will push its way up. But there's a lot of water on the top of the unit, inside the top of the unit, um, in those pockets that it's really never ever supposed to have water in. So once you get the unit to stand all the way up and all the water comes rushing off, then you're really just beginning the work of getting things straightened out because what happens is um, now all the water will be on the inside that you need to deal with. Hopefully, right now all the water is coming from those top pockets and making its way down through the holes and down to the bottom of the unit and working its way forward. Now, this particular slide was placed pretty flat, and it created a situation where the water would not rush forward as it should be. So we were kind of stuck with this situation where, all the water was sitting, again in those pockets and in the back of the unit, um, and just trying to work it out and trying to get it to come out. Right, we're looking for any kind of holes, any kind of vents that we can open up that'll help with this situation, and inevitably, um, as you can see here, we're going to open up the bottom and try to get some of that water out. All right, the hill sits on well, the slide is sitting parallel to a hill. The hill falls away from the house to the left-hand side here. And what our thoughts are is that we need to pull the front of the slide around and get it where it's going down the hill so that the water will, move in the direction that we want it to. The problem, as you can see, is that the water weighs a lot, a whole lot, and it is keeping a situation where we can hardly move it, even if we want to. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is take all the stakes, the ground stakes out, so that we can kind of pivot it. Um, this is probably the most important thing that you guys need to remember to do, because what happens is if you do not take those ground stakes out and you try to move it, you're putting a lot of stress on those locations. Now we push and push and push, and there's just not enough between the two of us to get it to move, because that's a lot of water. There are no more stakes in it. We've taken all the stakes out of the ground. That is literally the weight of the water holding the slide to the ground. So as you can see, there's a lot there, um, that needs to be, removed before we can do anything. So I'm left with one option. There's literally no way to get it out. The water is sitting towards the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the truck. Now, when you guys do this, if you guys decide to do this, you need to be very, 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 very careful that you do not put too much pressure on uh, the unit where you're pulling, because you will tear that vinyl, um, simply by pulling it, too much pressure on the you know the tie downs, or wherever you're pulling it from, can cause it to tear. I've had employees that have done it before, and a lot of times, your employees will do it because there's no other way. It's sitting in a pool of water or whatever. They didn't realize that when they set it up that the water was going to pool around it. I've had employees that literally the unit was underwater when they got there, laying down in the water. So they had no choice but to pull it out. But they left stakes in it, and they pulled against the stake, and it literally ripped the whole back of the unit. So be very, very careful when you do this, because it is something that can create a situation where you can cause more damage than anything. Okay, so I've used the heavy-duty tie-down straps, the inch and a half tie-down straps, and I've attached it to two separate points on the slide, two separate tie-downs on the front of the slide. And the reason I do that is I want to make sure that I'm not putting all the pressure on one point and can kind of guide it at the same time, keep it going in the right direction. So um, very, very gingerly, very, very slow, I'm going to put the pressure on it to need it to kind of spin with the truck. Initially, I didn't think it was going to work because there was a lot of water in there. There was a lot of weight. So it created a situation where I really did not want to, you know, pull on those straps so hard that it would tear it or whatever. Got to be very, very careful because again, saving time and destroying your equipment is not an equal trade-off or a good trade-off. So just be very, very careful when you do it. Okay, what I was doing was checking one more time to make sure that there was absolutely no more stakes or anything connected to the tie downs that would keep it from turning because I was again I was really really shocked that it literally was not budging at all. But there was nothing tying it down. It was just all the weight. So and I had reached the point to where it was ready to go. So I just needed to tug a little more. And you notice how slow and how gingerly I'm going, and again, making sure there's nothing that's going to interfere with the slide or kind of catch the slide or create a situation where, it could cause a problem. I'm also pivoting it more so than dragging it, so that, it's not all of the weight on there. I'm making sure that the blowers are not, being pulled or being, dragged out of the plugs, making sure there's plenty of wire there for that. And again, I pivot it to such a point and then I reposition and I will uh, connect it and pivot again so that we're wholly going down the hill. And you can see there's already a big difference. The water is shifting forward just from the little bit of movement that I've done so far and gotten it in the right direction. All right, we repositioned it and got it moved down one last time, and uh, now it is fully going downhill. and you could literally hear the water kind of rushing on the inside. So we knew we were in good shape. We did it and made sure that we, didn't pull any seams and didn't have any, stress tears or anything in the unit. Um, so, everything worked out the way that it was. But again, I cannot caution you enough how very, very careful you need to be when doing this, because you don't want to get in a situation where you're going to damage the unit and create, you know, more problems. And as you can see, an absolute ton of water just coming out of it and just pouring, pouring, pouring out of it. Now, water, everybody knows every 1 gallon of water is 8 pounds. So, even 10 gallons of water, you're up to 80 pounds. There probably was 7 million gallons inside of this unit. So we were way, way up there. And, um, luckily it was able to get it to go downhill and get it to come on out. So. Okay, we got it rolled up and put back onto the truck. And again, there was still some water in it, so it was really, really heavy. Um, but we were able to get it in the truck and get it back to the shop, so everything worked out. Um, you guys, I hope this video helps and kind of gives you some ideas on how to handle water inside the unit. How to get it out and how to make it where you can get those units rolled up and back in um, to your inventory so that you can make some money. I appreciate your time and I appreciate all your effort and being in the business. I want you to know that we are in this together. There's no such thing as competition. If there's anything I can do to help any of you, just please let me know and keep watching these videos. Give us likes and thumbs up, and we will see you in the next one.